Hello, YouTube. It's the Utopian Buddha. I'm here with my mom. Say hi, Mom.
Hi.
All right. So today's Feminism Day, and those are my dogs barking. But today's Feminism Day, so I decided we're gonna have a conversation about feminism with the woman who made me a feminist. And I give her all the honor. And you should see her face right now. She's camera side, but she's shaking her face like oh, you're so fancy, but whatever. So hey, so tell me, introduce yourself, Mummy, and tell me what you think about feminism. And she has a lot of thoughts, guys. She has a lot of thoughts. She's been expressing them my whole life. So so tell us, what do you think? What do you think, Mummy?
Well, I just think women need to be treated as equals.
Right.
They need to have a voice. They need to be able to represent themselves and economically, socially, culturally.
Yes.
We have to have a voice. We shouldn't have our voices suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And especially financially, we still get paid lesser than men do, even though we're working much harder. And we work at home, we work outside. So I just think, and we should have a right to decide what we want to do with our bodies. All these things are very important. And a feminist doesn't mean that we're against men. We just want to have equal rights.
I love that.
And that's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say? All right, let me see if I can come up with something. Yeah, that was pretty comprehensive. You answered most financially, economically, culturally. So what do you think about
politically? We need to have a voice in politics.
Yeah, definitely. So you were upset when Hillary lost, right?
Not necessarily. I think everybody has to have an equal voice, and she's made mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and
yeah.
I think a man is forgiven much easier, and than a woman. A woman makes a mistake, and it's always her fault.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. I'm not going to talk about any politics because I don't think that's relevant here.
It's not relevant. I mean, it's kind of relevant, but it's not super relevant. So, what else? So that's good. So, but feminism.
I want to let you know that, my mom is a super strong lady, and she got married when she was a teenager, and she made sure that her daughters were really well educated, and, so that we could stand on our own feet. She always wanted to make sure that we were financially independent. So a lot of kudos goes to my mom.
Yeah, Omaji, this one's for you. It's not just my mom, it's my mom's mom that has that's really shaped, it's generations, right? Generations form, if my mom was a weak woman, I think that would shape my perspective of women, but fortunately she's strong, and that's made me, respect women so much more than possibly I'd like to think that I would still respect women, but having a strong woman role model in your life is a very big deal.
But I'll tell you this, you have to have men who are also supportive in your life, because
right.
If you don't have somebody who's supporting you, then actually sometimes we can get suppressed too. It makes it that much harder. So I have to give credit to my dad and your dad. And
yeah, my dad's a wonderful man. He knows when to stop talking when my mom starts screaming. I'm just kidding. My mom's laughing now. So yeah, I think so. That's really good. Yeah, I think, and it's also this idea of like you want men to support women, in many ways. But I also think that women have the ability to really speak for themselves, and like you said earlier, right? Like,
and a woman should stand up for another woman.
Yes.
And not become the enemy, and try to listen to all aspects and come to a fair conclusion.
Yeah, no, and I think my mom often says this. Sometimes she gets a little mad when she says this, but she says sometimes a woman is a woman's worst enemy. Do you agree with that? Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, and we need to come together and support each other. And I think for the most part we do, but every now and then, they get influenced, or they have and everybody has a right to their thoughts, and I think we should be open to listening to all the thoughts and hopefully make the best judgment from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let me think about what I talked about earlier today. So I talked about religions justifying. So what do you think about women's choices in marriage and sexual choices and things like that? Like,
I think it should be her choice. If she chooses to, have a relationship, then it's her choice, And it's just that, women, we do have responsibilities because, if a woman gets pregnant, then you have the child. So there's it's a little bit more complicated, and I think women need to make smart choices and try not to get into trouble because we have enough things to worry about without having to worry about our sexuality and pregnancy and whether we want to keep the pregnancy or not, and the way things are going
There's
these
so many
days.
emotional issues that come with that.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. So I think a woman needs to live responsibly and make responsible choices.
Definitely. I think that's kind of I didn't speak to that earlier because I did say that women shouldn't be judged harshly if they choose to dress inappropriately or choose to dress in a way in a revealing fashion, and I don't think they should be judged for that, but I think there's another side to that in the sense that women should behave responsibly and not it's obviously it's on men to control themselves and not push their desires onto women, push their preferences onto women. I actually made a really popular post on that earlier. It's called Injustice and Authenticity, if you guys want to check it out. It's a short. And it's about how women's preferences and desires are actually deformed and malformed by the dominant male culture. And a woman is seen as a woman is seen as a woman or an amazing caretaker if she sacrifices her own autonomy, if she sacrifices her own needs for that of her child and her husband. Whereas the husband is lauded and praised if he goes out and acts without really goes out and conquers the world. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that women are do carry the burden of making everything work. They have to make sure the home is secure and people are happy at home. And nowadays, with women, more of the women force going out in the real world to work and make ends meet, I think there's an extra burden on women to excel outside of home and be the caregiver and take care of the home too. So, women, we carry many hats. We wear many hats.
Yeah.
And I think we just have to learn how to cope with it and make the most of it. And if people meet us halfway, I'm sure we can meet everybody halfway.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. I think, I've studied a lot of political science, economics, and women do, I think it also comes down to, and I've noticed this in my own social interactions. I don't know if my mom is going to want to comment on this, but I've noticed in my social interactions that size, right? A large male is given greater attention and in social interactions than me. I'm a relatively small male, or I'm a medium-sized male. And I think that also applies to women, right? Like men's desire for men's greater aggression. They've done studies, right? They've done studies of men in men and women in conferences, right? And it turns out men dominate the conversation, right? Small men, big men, doesn't matter. Men in general, they take over the conversation and they talk more over women. So I think it also falls on men to recognize those inequalities in for whatever reason that is a fact, and men need to just shut up more often and listen. Do you think that's true, Mommy?
I think it's changing. I mean, I just came from a women's forum, and
You did?
and yeah, I was at a conference this weekend, and I think women, we are taking on very strong roles in this world. We're CEOs, we're directors, we're carrying a big, we're holding big posts. So I think we're getting there slowly but steadily. So I have hope, and I think we're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I do believe that there are masculine and feminine elements in reality, and men need to get in touch with their feminine side, and women need to get in touch with their masculine side. And I think that's good. Okay, my mom's done. All right, we're done. 10 minutes. Have a good one, guys.